Hey guys, Martin here bringing you a Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we're going to be taking a look at the AGL LR Gohan, who has his pre-10th anniversary buff, along with the Perfect Cell that we've already done the video for. This guy, I brought up the tweet, shout out to Proton again, because each of these guys has a slightly different buff. It seems like they do all have super effective. Just like Cell, he does get 600% extra defense, but he also gets 500% attack compared to Cell's 300. Obviously the starting form for Super Saiyan Gohan never started off like doing the craziest damage, because obviously he stacks defense on both of his supers and not attack, right? So his attack stats are never super crazy when he's in his starting form, but obviously that's not the point, right? It's the building him up to crazy levels of defense. So he starts off on 600k turn 1 with a few links active and a bit of support from Gamma 1. Let's see, he's going to guard, obviously, high chance to get an additional, and then yeah, we have brought Gamma 1 on the team specifically for the condition to hopefully be able to actually get the Super Saiyan 2 transformation at some point, but I guess we'll see. I don't know how good Gamma 1's going to be in slot 1 here, but okay, yeah, I was fairly sure that Vidal's super attack type is the one that he could counter, so yeah, putting him in slot 1 to start getting a bit of a buff, because Gamma 1 obviously is a bit of an older unit now, but in terms of Gohan's 200% teams, he's on quite a few, but I was trying to find a good one that we could put an android ally on, and obviously he's on Beast Gohan's 200% team. Beast Gohan, of course, having superheroes as part of his lead, we can put Gamma 1 on here. I guess you could run the LR Gammas on the team as well, to be fair. But yeah, these guys, well, by having an android on the team, we can potentially get the transformation for Gohan into Super Saiyan 2, because Super Saiyan 1, like straight off the bat, I mean, I'm a little bit surprised his defense is that low. I guess his starting defense is kind of low as a stacker, but like, remember that Cell was starting out at like, you know, start of turn defense like 900k, whereas this Gohan's at like 500 and something. Obviously with good RNG, like if you get 3 supers in the turn, you're going to be stacking up relatively well. Also, Trunks not getting any crits here. I thought we could try and get rid of Goten as quickly as possible, and yeah, Trunks not really playing ball with that idea. Gonna get supered as well. Okay, 45, that's not too bad. I mean, we're not having much trouble losing health at the start here, so that's fine. Ideally, we want to stack Gohan as quickly as we can. He does only have the guard if you're at 58% or more HP at the start of the turn, so we do want to make sure that we are staying above that level, right, so that we can actually have the guard. Yeah, let's get these for you, and then just grab these for you, because Beast Gohan's going to give everyone key when he gets hit anyway, so as long as he gets hit. Of course, he's going to dodge the normal and eat the super, but he still takes double digits, or close to, right? 109 is basically double digit damage. So yeah, will we finish off Goten here? The friend is Rainbow, but did only get hit once before attacking, so obviously he's not going to go too crazy, but should still do some decent damage. I didn't see what the hidden potential build was for the friend either, to be fair, but we are getting the extra additional. That's the big thing about the Beast Gohan being at 55%, right, is unless you have an additional skill orb in him, then obviously he can't actually get a third super in the turn. So once you start getting some dupes, getting that extra super is obviously going to be able to do a lot more damage. And then Future Gohan here doesn't link super well with Beast Gohan. They share a few links, but obviously he gets the full 200% leader skill from Beast Gohan as well. So it's a good spot for him on this team. He can get his attacks off here. Will we finish Goten this turn? Because the thing is, my Beast at 55% hasn't been hit first. You can see we're getting our stacks in, or getting our build up for our passive, up to 6 million. Yeah, I think, will he be enough to finish him off here? 7.8, it's basically 7.9, but Yeah, I held off on buying the dupes of him with coins because obviously we will be going ham summoning wise on the anniversary. So I know I'm sure I'll end up pulling multiple copies of him before I'm actually able to pull the new unit. But I mean, double check normal Gohan, the original Beast Gohan, Super Saiyan 2, 58% or less with an existing android's ally from the 5th turn, right? So we are a little bit above the HP threshold anyway. So we stacked up, we're at 785. We've got a lot of links active here as well, so that's good. Guess we'll do this. And then that allows you to grab all of those. Gives us a solid heal. And then just give you these. So yeah, Gamma 1 still guarding at the moment. And there's the counter again. We'd love to see that. Get the super attack counter for both turns in a row against Videl, who always supers you in slot 1. I didn't actually think to... I should have retargeted, because there's no point really getting Gamma 1 to attack Trunks, but should really just take out Videl at this point. But of course we get the additional. Come on, Gamma 1, get a crit. Actually do some damage, let's go. I mean, he's already done his job for the turn, so I don't really mind if he doesn't do any damage. But he gets the crit anyway, so... Gamma 1 still trying to hang in there. 18 million for... See, that's where the big difference is, because Gohan's always been relatively good defensively as that long-term stacking unit. But like I say, with him not stacking attack, we also didn't get the additional. So that's the only downside is with any stacking unit. If you get a turn where you just get like one super, then obviously it's a little bit disappointing because you're not going to get that build-up as quickly as you would like. Also, I'm pretty sure this Gogeta, he must have been in slot 7, right? Because this is the first turn that he's on. So... can get him floated off here, but yeah, he's guarding, which is fine. And then get the dodge. Let's do this. Go for taking out Videl. Do that. And do that. But yeah, Gohan's going to be very interesting because obviously with his EZA especially, like his super attack or his transformation condition has always been super annoying. But like, if you get him to transform, that like when he first got his EZA, I remember seeing him getting up to some pretty crazy numbers. And obviously now the Super Saiyan 2 version only gets a 200% attack buff, but that's still, you know, what you were seeing from his like previous form times 3, right? Still 600% defense and then super effective. The super effective is like a really good little addition, just because like him having these extra stats and everything, it's not going to make a huge difference if you're then attacking a type disadvantage enemy and he doesn't crit. So him having super effective as well as the nice like attack buff does mean that he is going to consistently be able to do a lot more damage to some of these more difficult bosses in this brief period where he has the special boost, because it's until what, it's like midway through like January 2025, I think the news thing says, right? So they're going to have this buff for, it's probably only going to be like 5 to 6 weeks, the units that have gotten it today. So be good to make the most of these guys. Really hoping that we get, well, I know we're going to get it before the end of the year, but hoping that we get Jiren and then therefore the Goku and Frieza stage sooner rather than later, because some of these new units, like that's the stage that you really want to be able to try them out on. Stages like this, I mean, for the most part, like sometimes people ask me in the comments about like why I do certain stages and stuff, and it's like for the most part I'm only really doing the showcases because we want to see like what the unit can do, like what numbers they can hit and stuff like that, and then obviously that gives us a good idea of like, well, if this unit is putting up these kind of numbers, then we know they would be good or bad in like this other event, right? Because of what we know about how hard those bosses hit and all that kind of stuff. So at least this event you are able to get a decent bit of mileage out of it. Like we're on turn 5 and we're still in the first phase, so we are able to get some good information here for Gohan. But yeah, really we're in a similar situation as we were with the Int Cell, where we are essentially just kind of waiting on a turn where somebody does eat a super and doesn't obviously die, but we take a fairly decent amount of damage, and then we can get the Gohan transformation, which I suppose is the problem with having like the Beast team, because obviously Beast is really, really good. It's not like he's going to take crazy damage. I mean, in the final phase against the STR Gohan, maybe like a slot 1 super. Because obviously when he loses that bit of his damage reduction after a few turns have passed. But he's probably still not going to die, which is ideal. And then hopefully we can take that damage and get the transformation. But it's one of those things where Gohan's transformation has always been notoriously difficult to get. So it's one of those things we can't... don't really want to like try and get our hopes up that we're going to get it. It's always annoying as well in like a showcase when you can't get a transformation for a unit, but unfortunately sometimes that is just the way it is. And that's the other thing, I like these showcases to be like a realistic depiction of the unit. So if I jump into an event to try them out and see how good they are and I can't get their transformation or I can't get their rage mode like it happened with Tech Beerus, then it's just a realistic example of that can happen when you use them sometimes, which is disappointing. It's always been the disappointing thing about that AGL Gohan, because he's always been cool. Like on release he was one of the best units in the game, especially for that meta with like the Goku event and stuff like that, but his transformation condition always been super disappointing. And there's been ways you can kind of cheese it, like obviously having a cell on the team or a cell enemy, so doing specific events or like bringing specific units and stuff, right? But it's not something that you're able to get consistently, which is a real shame. Like, it's one of those things, it's good that we have some of these conditions now for active skills where they're maybe a bit conditional to start with, but then it's like or turn 5 or turn 6, right, or something like that. Whereas like if this Gohan had something like that, so we could consistently see his transformation, I think that would be really good. Unsurprisingly, he links really well with future Gohan, so let's go ahead and keep them together here. We'll put you in slot 1. I mean, now we've got a million defense, start of turn, and guard. I think we can get away with using him in slot 1 decently well enough here. Have the Beast Gohans floating, because then if we need to, depending on what turn, we could potentially end up losing a lot of HP. If we can then use the Beast Gohan target skill to make him take all the hits and then not have to take a lot of damage, and then get back around to this turn to get the transformation. Like if it was this turn, for example, if we took a load of damage, we'd be able to use the Beast Gohan on the next turn to essentially make sure that he can tank a bunch of hits. We wouldn't have to worry about healing much, and then we'd get back around to this turn and actually get the transformation. But I guess the problem is, like, this team is good enough that we don't really have a lot of units that will take a lot of damage. I mean, Gamma 1, even with his build-up, will probably take quite a bit of damage from a super. So I think even against this like physical phase, maybe Gamma 1 taking a super would be good for us here. But obviously we'll have to see how the next rotation actually pans out. Because yeah, these HP restriction, like transformation conditions, they can definitely screw you over in terms of actually being able to see like all the things that the card does, right? Because the Super Saiyan 2 Gohan is obviously very fun to use because he's very powerful. He's not as strong defensively anymore, although obviously with the buff, like, he's still getting the 600% defense, and he's, you know, you've been stacking with him for a certain amount of time, so he's obviously going to be pretty strong. I don't want to get too many same type orbs, but I do want to be able to super, so I guess we'll get those for you, and then let's just get that. And then those, because yeah, the problem is Sword of Hope Trunks could be a bit of a liability, like if he gets super attacked. But and considering he's got type disadvantage here, I mean, if Gohan super attacks Gamma 1, I wouldn't be expecting him to take that much damage. But if he super attacks Trunks, we'll potentially just die, which is a bit annoying. But I mean, it depends. If he gets multiple supers during the turn, then he can potentially survive a super, but we'd have to see. I'm not 100% sure how much this Gohan hits for. I can't remember off the top of my head. So, okay, well, he didn't get supered, and obviously Beast isn't going to take damage from a type disadvantage super here. So it's not enough to kill him. So Gohan, what are we looking at now? 1.27. So I mean, obviously he's very competent in terms of his stacking up and then sort of being perfectly safe here. Being above the HP threshold and knowing you have the guard obviously is a huge advantage. I don't think anyone on this rotation. Well, actually, see, because we're not transforming because I don't want to get the heal and get too much healing. But Gogeta eating a super would be bad news. Although I don't think he could survive that long anyway, right? Because now that we've got the additional for Gohan, it's going to do some solid damage, and then obviously future Gohan does good damage. So yeah, Gogeta isn't actually going to need to take any hits, which is good. Maybe next phase with the Go Bros we can take some damage, because we're at like, what, just over 80% HP? So like 82% maybe. Good old future Gohan. Alright, so Tech Go Bros. I mean, this is where we've got to be a bit careful because of this guy, right? Like, he's going to be not as good. We've also got the Dokkan attack this turn. Yeah, this is just the problem, like I say, when it comes to HP based like transformation conditions, you're always going to struggle then when things like this happen, right? Like you get far enough into the event, it's like, oh, now I'm getting the Dokkan attack. So, you know, regardless of what happens this turn, I could fall to the exact right amount of HP that I want to be at by the end of the turn, and then at the start of the next turn I'm just going to be on full health. So obviously it's not the craziest. I'm not going to bother hitting the nodes here just so it goes a bit quicker. Clearly this bit isn't going a bit quicker, but yeah, you skip out the extra parts of the Dokkan attack, like animation. Just go straight into the normal super attack animation here. So no crit. So we're not doing too much damage, which is fine. The more turns we get with Gohan, the better. The more likely we are to be able to get, hopefully, someone to snag some damage from a super and then actually get the transformation with Gohan. But it's just one of those things. I mean, I guess like you could find a team build. I mean, he's on Tech Super Trunks is 200% lead, right? Who leads Android / Cell Saga. So all we would really need to do if we want to guarantee that we see his transformation is we run him on that team and we bring like in Android 16. But we don't want to run that team because it means running Tech Super Trunks, which I don't want to do. But it's just one of those things. Like I say, he would be really good, or is really good on this team, like with that buff. But it is something where you're not going to get to see his transformation very often, which is unfortunate. So, I mean, since we're on full health anyway, might as well do this. Do that. Do that. I mean, obviously this team very good, so how much did the Go Bros hit for? I mean, Gohan's got, like, at this point, up to, what? He's got to be at least 1.5 with guard. Yeah, so he takes double-digit damage and then drops a 20 mil attack stat. I mean, this is one of the things that I've always said about this Gohan, like, even when he came out, right, is his transformation condition isn't great. But when he was first out and then when he first got his EZA, like, he was good enough in his starting form that it wasn't really the end of the world that you couldn't get the transformation. Like, you can throw him on like a Super Saiyan's team or something like that, and he's obviously going to be, with this temporary buff, he's going to be a very good, like very strong defensive unit, can hit some reasonable attack stats. I mean, you imagine putting this guy on the same team as like the physical trio from the worldwide. The only reason we're not running that for this video is because he doesn't get their 200% leader skill, but he would get the 170 from them, and then if you're running double leads, they're both providing that 77% extra defense for 2 turns. So he's going to be getting a huge amount of defense. And then, of course, that team has a lot of units you can run that are very good link partners for him. So, yeah, that would be a pretty solid way to run him. Just, yeah, it's not the full 200% leader skill, which is what I normally like to do for the showcases. So, let's see. How do I want to do this? I mean, again, we're not really going to get, like... I guess if I transform you, you're not going to heal this turn anyway, because we're on full health. Because yeah, I could just not use the Spirit Sword and then just keep Trunks as the slot 1 tank. Although I think, doesn't he only get? Yeah, he only gets it from 1 turn, so he doesn't actually have the extra defense buff if you don't use the active skill. So I guess we'll put him in the middle. Use the super disappointing Sword of Hope animation. It's so bad. Like, that last bit is just so underwhelming. Like, it's like a little purple fart cloud. We'll do that. And then we'll leave the... Well, there's actually not that many. I was going to say I'll leave the AGL orbs for Gohan, but we'll just get more orbs overall if we do it this way instead. Now, we would still be in a situation here where if Trunks takes a super, we could potentially die. The only thing I can hope is that, like, Trunks gets super attacked after doing like 4 supers this turn, and then manages to live, even with the tiniest amount of health. That helps us out in our quest to get Super Saiyan 2 Gohan out. But so I'm not using the Beast like active skill or anything at this point, because if we use that on this turn, he's just going to take all the hits and not take any damage. So yeah, Trunks getting a bunch of additional normals isn't good. Well, he didn't get supered. I think after, if only getting 2 supers in the turn, I think he would die if he got super attacked at this point. But yeah, we are going to get a couple of supers off with Gogeta. We got his rainbow orbs, but I think we are not going to end up finishing them off this turn. And then hopefully what we can do is finish off this turn with Gohan, get another stack, and then on the first phase of the STR Gohan here at the end, we can get the oh well, Gogeta's dead. Wow, 884k, nice. All right, well, let's get a transformed like clip of him in here. Okay, so I finally managed to get us into this position. It took, would you believe, more than 1 attempt, because as I mentioned previously about not really liking running Tech Super Trunks, he got me killed multiple times before I could actually get the setup to have the 58% below HP with Gohan on the turn. So we're going to be able to transform here now into Super Saiyan 2. We change orbs, don't we? I just need to double check if it's for... it's tech orbs. Okay, so I want to make sure we keep those there, but I can grab these with 16 first just to get a little bit of extra health, but it's not going to be too much, and then we can go ahead and transform into Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Now the thing is, if you're going to use this guy in some of the more difficult events, realistically you probably do want him to be stacking quite a bit first, and that's why that first run that we did, that's like a more realistic team that I would take into a tougher event, and then we just never got the opportunity to actually transform. Whereas this team, I've only run this build so that we can try and force the transformation with Gohan. So you can see we're at 781k start of turn defense. We do get a relatively good amount of start of turn defense. We get additional per key sphere obtained, as well as the extra key. We do get an additional super when facing multiple enemies as well. So let's go for Goten and get the full like type advantage here. So with 10 orbs, we get a full heal. That puts him up to 867k. We can go ahead and use this. Actually, we could use this on Videl, and then she won't be able to super attack 16 in slot 1. Because the thing is, we managed to get the transformation, but there's still the possibility that we could die here if we get unlucky. So if we do this and action break her, because she always supers in slot 1, I think it is always the first attack of the turn. So then she should not super 16 in slot 1 here. But obviously everybody else in slot 1 could potentially super attack him. There goes Trunks. I mean, we've got the guard. We still took 100k. Fortunately, we got the heal from all of those AGL orbs. Oh, and it wasn't her first attack of the turn. Amazing. Okay. But yeah, these are the hoops that we had to jump through to try and get the transformation for AGL Gohan. But we'll see what we can get here. What is our boy going to do? 16.4 million. I mean, that's the thing. That's not that crazy. So it's one of those things you do really want to get like a big orb change for him if you can. We do get the guaranteed additional. He does get extra attack when there's a when there's only the one enemy. I think actually, does he not get a buff? I might be thinking of the wrong Gohan now as well. But does he get a buff with like a Super Saiyan Goku on the team? Which, unfortunately, for the build of like the Android / Cell Saga, probably not super ideal. I guess that's another thing about like it's not always necessary to run these units on a 200% team for them to be at their best. Like that's where they'll put out some of the highest numbers potentially, but obviously like if we have to have a Super Saiyan Goku on the rotation for this Super Saiyan 2 Gohan to hit a lot harder, that's another reason why the physical trio team would obviously be good for this Gohan. In fact, let me just double check his transform passive again. But yeah, on the Android / Cell Saga, like in terms of standout like really good Super Saiyan Gokus, there's not really like a crazy amount. Although to be fair, that gives us what, high chance to crit. Oh no, his additional attack 59%. Yeah. And then you get an extra super attack as well. But I mean, 59% on top of 16 million, that's only going to push him up to what, like 25, 26 million, which isn't insane. But of course, he is a nuking style unit, so he does rely on RNG a little bit. But let me know what you guys think of AGL Gohan down below in the comment section. I'm not as crazy on his like post-buffed state as I thought I would be, although maybe it is just down to the setups. Like maybe if we try these guys, like same with Cell, we need to try them in some other events and on some other teams, and I think maybe the Super Saiyans team is the way to go. But like I say, it's very difficult to get his transformation in certain events and certain stages without like sort of gimping your team by running. We don't want to run 16, and we can't on a bunch of teams anyway. At least on the superhero team you have the option for the Gammas, but it's just difficult to get his transformation sometimes as it is. So what can you do? But let me know what you guys think of AGL Gohan with his pre-anniversary buffs down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.